If a future version of you learned how to interact with different moments of its own timeline, how would it prove that it was real? Would it move objects, appear in dreams, create synchronicities, plant ideas in your mind? This thought started after listening to Season 5 of Case 63. At first, I thought I was thinking about time travel. Now I'm not even sure that's what this is about anymore. We always imagine time travel in the same way. A machine, a portal, a person physically moving from one point in time to another. But why? Who decided that the body has to move? What if we've been looking in the wrong place all along? What if consciousness can travel where the body cannot? Not through machines, not through portals, but through dreams, intuition, meditation, déjà vu. Those strange moments when something feels familiar before it happens. And then another question appeared. What are ghosts, really? The traditional explanation is simple. They are dead people trying to communicate with the living. But what if they aren't? What if what we call ghosts are actually other versions of ourselves, trying to get our attention? Not dead people, not spirits, not supernatural beings. Is from another point in time, another possibility, another version of our own existence. Think about this. If a future version of you learned how to interact with different moments of its own timeline, how would it prove that it was real? Would it move objects, appear in dreams, create synchronicities, plant ideas in your mind? And this is where the idea becomes unsettling, because the more I think about it, the stranger one question becomes. What if some of the thoughts we believe are our own didn't originate here? What if they were planted, not by a bleep, not by aliens, not by an outside force, by us, from somewhere else in our own existence? The idea sounds ridiculous at first, but then I started wondering how many decisions have completely changed the course of your life because of a random thought, a random book, a random conversation, a random podcast, a random dream, a random feeling that you couldn't explain. What if those moments aren't random at all? What if they're echoes, messages moving across different versions of the same consciousness? And then I stumbled into an even bigger question. We spend our entire lives assuming that there is only one version of ourselves. Why do we assume the past no longer exists? Why do we assume the future doesn't exist yet? Why do we assume there is only one timeline? Who taught us that? Maybe time is not what we think it is. Maybe time is simply the way human beings organize experience. Maybe all versions of ourselves already exist simultaneously. The child you were, the person you are today, the person you will become 20 years from now, and perhaps countless versions of you that made different choices. If that's true, then the question isn't, can we travel through time? The question becomes, what makes me believe that the version of me experiencing this moment is the only version that exists? And if multiple versions exist, another question follows naturally. What would happen if they could communicate? Not physically, not face to face, but through dreams, intuition, meditation, déjà vu, moments where reality briefly feels less solid than we assume it is. Maybe that's why so many stories insist that meeting yourself is dangerous. Not because it would destroy the universe, but because it would destroy something far more fundamental, the belief that there is only one you. And maybe the most unsettling possibility of all is this: what if some of the questions you're asking right now were never yours to begin with? What if they were planted by a future version of yourself trying to wake you up? And if that's true, how would you know the difference?